Up next, a local Porter Ranch resident, very active voice, very well-spoken. We brought her in to say Porter Ranch Fold because I just love the way she is able to analyze things and break it down. So it's so simple to see analyze the complex things that we're dealing with here so that everyone can understand it. Welcome, Donna Siers.
How many of you guys remember what you were doing a year ago when you first realized you could smell the gas or the mercaptan? How many of you remember that? You know what you were doing, what time it was, where it was? And I'll bet you that you thought, okay, like I did, does my house have a leak? Does my neighbor have a leak? Is it just a small thing? Because that's my experience. And you know, I noticed in the LA Times this morning there was an editorial, and it said, when that well blew, Southern California Gas first reported to state regulators, we have a small regulated leak. Now, they knew that wasn't true, but that piece right there established their pattern in terms of how they deal with us and what information they have with us. You know, by definition, they are our neighbor because their land borders on Porter Ranch, but they're not really very neighborly. And they're not very, very neighborly or put our interests first because we are in their way. And we are very definitely almost looked at as the enemy because you can't believe both. If you believe us, you can't believe them. And if you believe them, you can't believe us. And so I believe that a lot of their letters that come to us as dear neighbor, they're not intended for us. They are a really great PR scheme. They are intended for the rest of the world. Because if the rest of the world thinks that everything is safe, then obviously we're the ones that are just complaining because they haven't lived what we have lived. And they've done a lot of things to try to be able to set us up in terms of being unrealistic because we stand in the way of them making billions of dollars. They have worked 24/7 to get their new turbines online. Those turbines are designed to increase the storage and the injection by 145 million cubic feet a day. They want to increase the storage up there out of leaky wells by 50%. And we know the wells are leaky because one of the things that they said was they have an average of 2 leaks a day. Now, Southern California Gas has done a lot because, you know, like if we don't have information, if we don't have facts, then obviously we're just emotional, right? And they don't have to believe us. So in an information society, what they have done is they've tried to deny us any information that we could have. For example, in the plea agreement, they agreed to a monitoring thing. Well, that was their idea. But they're missing one factor. They don't have to make it real time. We don't have to know it. Therefore, we have no facts to be able to say, hey, you're misleading the public. With the AQMD, they have 5 days to notify us if there's any issue that's over 50,000 ppm. If we don't have any information, then all we can do is say, hey, we're not feeling well, but we don't have things that we can put out to say you're wrong. So the one thing that they want to do after that plea agreement that has nothing in it for us is what they wanted to do was to shut down fence line because that is the only, in this information society, that is the only information that we have. It is the only thing that we as a community have independently that can verify what a shutdown facility is doing. If they have 2 leaks a day and you see all those spikes that are going on fence line, you know that those are more than 2. But those are ours. That's our information. And without it, we have nothing. So we as people, we have a choice. We control our own destiny. If we snooze, we lose, right? Because we won't have anything because they want it shut down. And the only entity that said, hey, we're not going to just give in, was Argo Scientific, who said, you know what, I know you're telling us to shut it down. I know we're getting the pressure for it, but we're going to give Porter Ranch the right of first refusal. If they buy the equipment and what we've given them for 9 months free, if they're willing to pay for it, then we're going to give it to them. If they're not willing to pay for it, then we have to give it to Southern California Gas. So now, the real question is, you know, you're ready to put your money where your mouth is because we need that information. And the only way we get it is to put some money in the PAC. That puts people above them. Our voice is our dollars. It takes $1 for every family a month. That's it. So if our HOAs aren't going to pay, then we need to pay, but we need the information. People over profit. That's the choice. And Maureen is going to come around, and you can also go online because they have it at, North San Fernando Air Monitoring. You can donate there. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it next door. Talk to your neighbors. If our HOAs don't do it, then we need to remember it, but we need to pay or we give up everything. Woo!
Thank you, Donna Siers. Yeah, that fence line monitoring, that's the only thing we have that's independent, that's out of the hands of a weak government agency and out of the hands of SoCal Gas, and they're trying to take that only thing away. And it actually is really cheap per household, but remember, mama ain't coming, politicians ain't coming, no one's coming to save us. We got to do this ourselves, folks. Thank you. Pass that jar around. You can also donate at Say Porter Ranch's booth or online. Thank you. Woo!